front of the subject's house, ready to engage. YouTube, Red Sparrow, 694382, out.
From 666, how do you guys like this mustache? I'm thinking of keeping it. I saw in the comments.
Regards.
What the
Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck! We need more Star Wars reviews. Shave this mustache.
Oh! Why? Why?
Fuck!
Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Did you get the Critic DVD in there? Put it in the back. There we go. Oh, God, I'm in so much fucking pain. Oh, why me? Oh, welcome to room 666. Today we're going to be reviewing I, Tonya, the latest film from Greg Gillespie. The film stars Margot Robbie, Sebastian Stan, Allison Janney, and Julianne Nicholson. The film I, Tonya is the true story of competitive figure skater Tonya Harding, and well, we all know what happens. She bops Nancy Kerrigan in the knee. I'll never review another movie again! First up, we are going to talk about our director, Greg Gillespie, who inspired me to get this mustache. He did Lars and the Real Girl and Sebastian Stan in this movie, so thanks. Anyway, let's talk about this film. Now, I am a fan of Lars and the Real Girl. I own it. It's a very funny film. It's not a film I return to too often, but it's got a lot of good stuff in it, especially a great performance by Ryan Gosling. Here, Gillespie kind of does the same things in terms of performances, but he brings it up a notch in terms of the things he does behind the camera, because this film is funny, it's smart, it's emotional, it's even really tense at times, and it's a really great look at Tonya Harding's life and the backstory and kind of the cycle of abuse that she went through with her mom and then with her husband, and basically everybody around her just treated her like shit. And it's a really good look into that and how that affects her and how that, you know, kind of shaped her into who she is. And, you know, the color palette and the cinematography of this film is really kind of cold and dark with a lot of blues. And it's, you know, it's obviously it's because of the skate rink and things like that, but it's just a really nice palette to it. And it's just a really dark, funny comedy. And a lot of that comes from the fourth wall breaking. There's like interview footage of them doing interviews. And, you know, there's things that'll happen during the film that, you know, someone will turn to the camera and be like, oh, this really happened. And then something else will happen. And then they'll be like, but this didn't. And that kind of stuff, I think, really helps this film, because if it was going to try to be a serious, kind of melodramatic, go for the Oscar type movie, it wouldn't have really, I think, drove home the message that this film does. And it wouldn't have really gotten these great performances. And so, you know, I think the director did a great job of getting this material and making this material actually better than it should be. You know, like I said, we could have got a really Oscar baity, kind of really just over dramatic, just cheap, just trying to go for all the same beats type of film. But here we don't get that at all. It's just filled with a lot of good stuff, great performances. It's nonstop funny. It's entertaining. The look into her life is just great. Now, I know you're all going to see this movie because of the incident. And let me tell you, that is barely a small fraction of this film, which I loved about this film. It doesn't even really matter into this whole film. It's everything that comes before it, what builds up to it, and how it all pieces together in terms of her life and everything, all her relationships. That's what makes this film great. So, kudos to that. Great job, Greg. And thanks for the mustache idea, baby. Let's talk about Margot Robbie, or Harley Quinn, as all you uncultured YouTube swine know her as. Here, she does a fantastic job as Tonya Harding. She doesn't look anything like her. And actually, Amy Adams kind of does, and there was a lot of talk about her going to play her, and I think Amy Adams would have done a great job. But Margot Robbie is able to do some fantastic work here. She doesn't need to look like Tonya Harding. You really just kind of get the sense of this broken person who's really like persevering through all kinds of like crap that she's gone through her mother, through her husband, basically through everyone around her. And she's got this talent that she's able to harness. And I don't know if Margot Robbie did all of the skating in the film, But I know that there's a lot of shots and close-ups of the skating that it does show that it is her face. I know a lot of that might be digital, but I'm pretty sure she did some of the skating. She did get in physical shape for that. And you really can tell that. You do see a different kind of Margot Robbie in terms of her body shape and her movement and the way that she kind of carries herself. It's not the Wolf of Wall Street Margot Robbie. And it's not even kind of, Harley Quinn Margot Robbie. It's just very, it's basically trailer trash, white trash Margot Robbie. And it's great. It's a great performance. It's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of great scenes and chemistry between her and Sebastian Stan. They are fantastic together, especially, and then her and Allison Janney as well are great. The relationship between those three is done fantastically in the movie, and so it's a great performance from Margot Robbie, and she deserves all the award attention that she's getting. Harley Quinn, baby. Let's get into the man, Sebastian Stan, or the Winter Soldier for all you uncultured YouTube swine. Sebastian Stan is fantastic in this. I know he's great in the Winter Soldier stuff. In the small kind of bit parts that I've seen him in and things, he's done, a fantastic job. He hasn't really stood out, but here, he makes this kind of sort of despicable loser character into a very lovable, kind of deep type of personality where you're not sure if you like this guy or if you should hate this guy. And it's all really because of his performance. He really elevates, I think, the material with this. Because I don't know too much about the actual guy he's playing, but from what it seems is that he's just some bumbling fool. Just some white trash bumbling idiot with no sense. But although Sebastian Stan does play him that way, he still is able to add sort of a lot of depth to this character and just sort of make it this. And it's a really kind of electric performance where you really don't know what he's going to do and where he's going to go with it. It's a performance I hope that gets award consideration. I don't think it will because I think Margot Robbie and Allison Janney kind of overshadow him. But he's fantastic in this. His chemistry with all the actors is great. This is the kind of role I hope to see Sebastian Stan in, and not more like action stuff. This is the kind of stuff he was made for, I think. He's a great character actor. It would be great to see him in more stuff where it's like a David O. Russell film, Coen Brothers film, or even Alexander Payne film. Just because that's kind of the style that this sort of feels like. And I think he'd be great for those sort of comedies, dark comedies. And, he's got a great mustache in this film. And I think I've got a great mustache now. And, just like Margot Robbie, he just makes you have so much sympathy for these characters, even though they're just terrible people. And I love it. Mama Harding, played by Allison Janney. Man, this is a hell of a performance. And this year has been a hell of a year for just angry moms, right? Laurie Metcalf and Lady Bird, and now Allison Janney and Tonya. She is just basically just spitting venom the whole film. I mean, she is just ice cold. She plays it with very little to no expression on her face most of the time, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing for the character because you sort of feel where that expressionless comes from, why she has no look or expression on her face, because she's just sort of this. She really thinks that what she's doing is helping her daughter and being this sort of bitchy, mean, just sort of cold, angry, unloving, uncaring, just do better or you're no good type of mother. And you really get the sense that she sort of does feel that, but at the same time, it does feel like it is sort of a personal gain for her. And Allison Janney does a great job of really just kind of portraying that sort of that evil, that sort of, I mean, it's not evil, but that sort of toxicness that, you get from certain family members. I mean, we all have family members that we just are like, oh my God, they're just ridiculous and they just do terrible things and they just always say stupid things and you don't understand why anyone brings them around. And that she just embodies that perfectly. I think Laurie Metcalf is kind of upping her on the kind of award circuit, but I don't know. I think Janney's might get the Oscar for it because she does a really good job in this and she deserves it. She's a fantastic actress. Oh God. Oh, my fucking knee. All right, in conclusion, I, Tonya is one of the best films of the year. It's a huge surprise, honestly. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it is. It's a film that I would recommend to everybody, especially because I think it's a story that everybody knows about, but you don't really know about. Once you watch it, you'll be surprised at all the things you find out about Tonya Harding and all the stuff that led up to the incident and what the incident actually was. So go see this movie. It's going to end up in my top 10 for sure. If you can vote for this mustache to make it in the top 10 mustaches of the year, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. You guys have a good one. Ah! Why, YouTube, why?